What's going on YouTube? And welcome back to all my cloud scholars out there. My name is Kieran Tross, and I want to thank you for clicking on this video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a very important topic. We're going to be talking about email security. But in particular, we're going to be looking at a security tool that you can leverage in your organization to stop threat actors from attacking your employees. The tool that we're talking about, we're diving into what is Trustifi. So before we go into what is Trustifi, I want to talk about the importance of email security, right? You hear all the time, different companies getting hacked, ransomware attacked, you got impersonation attacks, you have people working from all over the world, and everything is in the cloud. With everything being in the cloud, that means it's accessible. So you need to really make sure you're safeguarding your environment from different type of threats. With the different types of phishing, ransomware, and business compromised emails that are happening every single day, Trustifi is the right product for you to use in order for you to help mitigate any of those issues.
Okay, so now we are in front of the laptop. I do have a quick PowerPoint presentation. It's only 2 slides, so I will not PowerPoint you to death. But before I go in and go through the review for Trustifi, I want to talk a little bit about email security because I want to make sure we all have a foundational understanding of what we are trying to safeguard our environment from, right? The different threats that are out there. So we're talking about importance of email security. Email security is crucial in protecting sensitive information and preventing data breaches and defending against cyber attacks like phishing, ransomware, and business email compromise, which can result in significant and financial and operational damage. So there are different types of attacks that cyber criminals are using in order for them to take your information, right? So one is phishing emails. And what phishing emails are is a trick users into revealing sensitive information such as passwords or financial data by impersonating legitimate organizations. Then you also have ransomware. It is a type of malicious software that locks users out of their systems or encrypts data, demanding a ransom payment for access. You hear a ton of ransomware attacks happening as of late. Over the last couple of years, it has just been really rampant, where companies are having to pay a big fee in order for the threat actors to release the information and give them back their data. Then you also have malicious links, right? So you have designed to download malware or redirect users to fake websites that collect sensitive information. Then you have business email compromise. Involves attackers impersonating executives or trusted contacts via email to trick employees to transfer money or revealing confidential information. So phishing emails and business email compromise are very similar. They're basically just impersonation attacks, if you ask me. And what attackers will do is they will, go on LinkedIn, see who's who at a company. A lot of times they like to go to like the more smaller, medium-sized companies. But then again, they still go after major organizations, right? Like MGM got, hacked, and that was, through social engineering. But what we want to do to safeguard our environment is we need to make sure that we have these type of alerts out there, and also that our systems are being monitored. And so when something does happen or there is an impersonation, right, that information comes into your organization but gets blocked and stopped by some type of email security tool like Trustifi. Okay, folks, we are finally in front of the console, our admin console for Trustifi. So I have logged in. Today, my name will be Alice. Come up here, you'll see Alice Test. So that is my name for today. That is the admin account that I am signing into. So when you get into Trustifi, the first thing you'll see is you have this area where you can do a search for anything. Right here it says home because that's where we are. It has you the support, and then also Trustifi Wizard if you need some help with anything there, right? And then over here, if you go over here, you could change the mode. So you could do dark mode if you wanted to do it that way, or you could switch back over into a light mode. We will keep it in the light mode, the default mode. So just to get through some of this, you can change the time period for these widgets, right? So if I wanted to do it for the last 3 days, if I wanted to do it the last week, I can. If I want to do the last month, I'm able to do that as well. So I'm going to stay with the 3 days, and we will go through each of these widgets and I'll walk you through it. So first we have our inbound trends, one threat detected in the last 3 days. And if I hover over it, it says, it gives me a little bit of information, but I have to go through some more to see exactly what's going on there. If I go to outbound trends, this is what's going on. The emails being sent out. over here, you will see there are 2 emails being sent out over the last couple of days. Then we also have another widget, which is our account takeover incidents. So this is 3 incidents detected in the last 3 days. So right here, we see sensitive data sent to, and you can't read the rest of it. So I'm going to hover over here and then I'll be able to see it. So it says sensitive data sent to free email domains. So then you have sensitive data sent to, and you hover over it, to new domain. So it lets you know, hey, this is a new domain. We haven't sent anything here before. It lets you know that. Then it says suspicious device change, and then you also have information about that as well. Down here, we have our inbound threat types. So for our inbound threat types, we have different things that inbound shield protects us from. So it says viruses, we have phishing, we have ransomware, we have spoofing, and we also have spam. When it comes to outbound rule usage, you have your emails and attachment encryptions, you have your recipients multi-factor authentication, you have postmark, and you also have advanced DLP rules. On this little widget right here, you can see that there is a user activity location. So you can see most of the activities coming from the New York region. That is where most of our activity is happening. If I go a little bit further down, I get to see the audit logs, the latest audit logs of what's going on, all the different things that are happening, any changes there. And then you also, on this side, you get your license usage and things of that nature on this side. So for this demo, what I'm going to do for this product review is really go into the outbound, inbound management, and then also the account takeover, because those are really some of the real key areas I want to zone in here. You get a lot of functionality out of Trustifi, but I think these areas are areas that, are really the selling point. At least they were for me. So if I go to plan settings, this is really how you would set up your Trustifi, right? So you have different things here that you can set up. So you have email flow integration, right? So this is how Trustifi integrates with your Exchange server. So the way it's set up right now, you can see as emails will be sent from your email server, Trustifi's MTA, which your MTA is your mail transfer agent. And then it will, from which it will send to your recipient. So basically what this is saying is email sent from your Trustifi, from your email server to Trustifi. Trustifi now looks at that email, make sure everything's all good, then it shoots it out. Over here, you have emails will be sent from your mail server to Trustifi as well. All email protection will be applied here and back to your MTA, from which it will be sent to your recipient. So it's just kind of a back and forth. And then it says outbound mail flow will be configured using a journal rule. Trustifi will scan journal copies of your received email for sensitivity. That is fine, right? So right here, you see it says confirm. I'm going to keep it the way it is set up. And then down here, you would have all your different settings. Over here, you have your different domains, add and manage domains that can be used to send and receive emails with Trustifi. You have your regions here, you have integrations, and you also have, you can see right here, we have Microsoft Exchange is connected, Exchange Server PowerShell, and then you have shared plan settings over here as well. I'm just kind of going through that portion a little bit quickly. There's certain areas I really want to zone in on. Right here, you have your user management. I think this is pretty much self-explanatory where you want to add users and you want to have more action, show groups and things of that nature. I'm going to come over here to rules and policies because this is really where, for me, this product was like, wow, this is going to save you on so much time. Normally, when you go into any type of environment, I'm pretty sure most of you have used Microsoft because they are the big players in the world. And when you're setting up different rules, which this would be your mail flow rules, you have to set them up from scratch, right? Microsoft does come up with some stuff from, out of the box, but, you having the ability to say, okay, choose a configuration recommended for your specific industry. If I were to click on healthcare, right? So I spent a lot of time working in healthcare over 10 years. And if I were to click on healthcare and it says, hey, please review the rules below and then click apply, there's a bunch of different rules that's going to be here. I can change this if I want to go to global, but I'll keep it on healthcare. And if I click apply, what happens is it populates these different rules for me. So now we have all these different rules that we can work with, right? So if I click on this one, right here, I have the enable, disable, or delete, and you have all these different rules here that works with the HIPAA compliance, right? So if you're healthcare, that's one of the compliance you have to stay with is HIPAA. So this is a great tool for you to use. But as many of you know who follow my page, Cloud Scholars, I don't like to just show you these things and have it pre-configured. I like to walk you through it so you can see exactly how the tool works. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit the down arrow and I'm just going to click delete. You know, we're going to get rid of it. We don't want it there. We're going to start off from scratch. So if I click create new rule, I could do a rule where I can say encrypt social security, right? And right here, you have an option for sensitivity score. You have sensitive type, you have compliance, you have MTA, you have keywords, you have all these different options here that you can choose from. So if I want to say, hey, let's say a sensitivity type, and I'm going to say, all right, let's test it out now, which is cool because I can say, okay, let me click on this and I can say text, and I'm just going to throw in a fake social security number in here. So I'll do 01255. Hopefully this is nobody's social security number, and I say perform test. It says sensitivity score 4, right? So it already has a score for it already, and it says United States social security number, and it gives me a 4, and it gives me the compliance. So HIPAA, CCPA, GDPR, PDPO, LGPD, all these compliance are performed with it, right? So all these compliance, not really performed, but it also, social security numbers is applied to all these compliance because you need to make sure you're not giving out that information, right? So it pretty much tells you, hey, this one is working, right? So if I say detected, I can say, okay, is in the body or the attachment. So any documents it's going to make sure that it scans for both, right? Not just the email, but also the attachment. And it says is one of or is not at least one of. So I'll keep is one of, and I'll say select sensitive types. And here I can say social, right? And oh, let me go back. This is the cool thing about it. So if I say test this out, and I had 0, 1, 2, I think it was 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was it. And I say perform test, right here it says United States Social Security. It says type, right? So if I come here, select sensitivity type, I can now say social, I don't remember the starter if I know it's United States. Yeah, so United States Social Security number, and I can click that off, but I can also choose a couple other different things as well, right? Social Security information, we could drop that in there as well, and I could click confirm. So once I do that, and I said if this happens, right, and I can add a condition, right, or I don't want to take that or. So let me get this off, and I want to say add condition. I can say another condition. So I can say sensitivity score, it's detected, and I can say scores 4 and above, or I can say 3 and above if I wanted to do that as well. I can have that in there as well, or I can do an or if I wanted to, right? So then now I can say then choose, right, encrypt message content, right? That's a given, right? Or I can say remove the sent item, or I can encrypt attachment only, right? Or I can require authentication, and I can do a couple other different things here, right? Allow access once, all these good things here. And then right here is this preferred tokenization. So this is whenever possible, only the sensitive information itself will be masked encrypted in the email. All other non-sensitive parts of the email will be sent without encryption, if you want to do that. Or you can do notify sender, and you can say, hey, the sender will be notified that a rule was enforced, and then you can have a message there if possible. Up to you if you want to do that. And then authentication method, you can have email, phone, password, email, SSO, all this other good stuff. So now if I click add rule, I have a rule there that I just created, and I want to make sure that any email that has any type of social security number automatically gets encrypted. So that's pretty cool. I really like that they have that function, right? Right here, this is create rules. If I click create industry rules, you can still, even though you have your own rules, you can still apply the industry rules as well if you wanted to do that as well. So that's pretty cool. You can do a combination of what you want for your security. So now if I come over here to policies, over here is where you can now get more restrictive, right? So you can say choose which settings will be enabled by default for all emails. Users can still modify them. Users can still choose to disable or modify these settings unless strict is applied. So I will explain strict to you all. So encrypt message content, I can turn this on, right? And then if I put strict, they can't change it. All outgoing emails will be encrypted if you want to do that. So I will take that off. And then I will come down here to require authentication. Recipients will need to authenticate their identity before they can access the email, right? I can put that on if I wanted to. Authentication methods. If you remember in the last screen, it asked me about the different options. This is where the options come from. So if it's a phone, password, email, SSO, you could take these off if you wanted to, right? Now I get a message. It says authentication method email cannot be disabled as it is used in rule encrypt social security. So it lets you know, hey, that rule you created is not going to allow you to do it because you have it there as an authentication method. So I'm going to put it back on so I can get rid of that nasty message. Good. So now we have notify sender about blocked recipients. That is enabled. You have attachment encryption policies as well that you can do. Allow updating messages. Users will be able to update the content attachment of sent encrypted emails. Allow recalling messages. You have the allow downloaded encrypted emails. There is a ton of different things here. I am not going to go through each and every one of them for you, but there is a lot that you have, a lot of different options, right? Some of the ones that I really like is block malicious content. Why would you want to take this off? I don't know why. Notify senders about blocked emails. I like the option of this because sometimes you'll get messages coming in and say, hey, I can't see this. I don't know what happened. This one is saying is going to notify senders about emails and let you know exactly why it's being blocked. Then you have this retention policy. Your emails and attachment will be permanently deleted after the selected amount of time. If you want to do that, the highest allowed value is 7 years and 84 months or 2,520 days, right? Email expiration, you have an option to do that as well. Attachment expiration and so on and so forth. So this one is really good. Oh, especially this one down here, there's allow print, and recipients will be able to print the content of encrypted emails. So a lot of times with encrypted emails, it's highly confidential. If the person is able to view that email, right, and they go through the authentication, you still are able to say, okay, this is only going to be viewed on your screen because we do not want you to print this out. So that is another great security option there that I can see definitely can be in use. And if you really modify your rules, you can have, if the email is over a level 4, then you might want to apply certain things like that. So if we go into data classification, this is where you are able to manage DLP sensitivity types, gain a clear view of your data and things of that nature, right? So once again, if we're in trends and we can do things where we can change what we want to see based on the last day, last 3 days, last week, last month, we're going to stay with the last 3 days for this. So we have DLP sensitivity types. So most commonly detected classification types in your sent emails. And you can see here it says United States Social Security because I already sent an email and I just wanted to test it out to see how it would show up. And you can see it says 1, right? Over here, you have this other compliance violation view here. It tells you exactly which compliance were hit, right? So we have HIPAA, CCP, and I'm not going to go through the rest of these compliance, but you get the portion of that, right? Then you have top domain receiving sensitive emails. If I come here, I see that Gmail is the top domain. If I come here, I see top senders of sensitive emails. I can see it's me, Alice at Trustifi. So you get a real great breakdown of all this good stuff. Let me just move this over here really quickly and I will see compliance violation breakdowns as well. So you get a good view of everything that is happening within your environment. So if I come here and I go to sensitivity types, here it's showing you the different sensitivity types that you have. You have user credentials. You have all this stuff, right? You have the type, text, minimum score is 2. You have maximum score. So this is pre-built for you, right? And you get to see all this stuff like passport information, driver's license information, teen pictures, images. So it's a lot of good stuff, right, that you get from this where you have these sensitive types, because sensitive types lets you be able to say, okay, this is a sensitive type. It's caught. And now I do something with that sensitive type, whether I want to encrypt it, I want to stop it from going out, or I just want to notify a reviewer about, hey, this is what's happening right now. You have all this stuff. So sensitive types are very important. In other platforms, you'll hear them as sensitive information types. They're calling it sensitive types here at Trustifi. So we have personal types. So this is where things are more germane to you. your organization, right? So you can add a sensitive type, you can call it whatever name you want to call it, and then you have your regex here. So if you have any information in your environment that are your organization, let's just say you have a, I don't know, SQL database, or you have some type of form that you have that you don't want anybody else knowing about, you would put that information in here, and then you can now make sure you have a rule applied so that this way, if it ever gets sent out, there is a notification. And then you get to test sensitivity here if you wanted to. So I can do something like a man walked down the street, and I'll do something like, I don't know, 12554512, right? And he proceeded to eat lunch with his dog and played tennis. Making something up, scan text, as you can see right here, it says nothing really came up for all that stuff. So let me try this again, and let me see if I can put some different numbers in here, 3451, and let's see if it comes up with anything. So nothing really shows up here, but test our DLP sensitive engine and use files or text to see how sensitive content is showing up. But what you can do is you can put some information in here and test it out and see how it works. So let's just say you have a personal sensitive type. You could put some information in here. This didn't really capture anything at the moment, but that is fine. But that's how you would want to use it, right? Earlier when I tried this out, I was able to get some stuff populating for me here. I mean, right now it's not really showing up anything, but you throw some information in there, you can. This is where you would test it out, or you can do a scan of file. And you can drop it in there and see exactly what, if it's going to populate with anything saying, hey, this is a sensitive type. I'm going to try something really, I think I did two numbers initially. So that might be the reason why. And let's see. There we go. Yep, I did two numbers. The first one I did 1, 2 instead of 0, 1, 2. So that's why. So even if I were to type something out, let's try it again. The man walked down. Well, actually, let me keep this. The man walked down the street and ate some pizza. Let me drop that in the middle of the sentence. And he then went to play with his friends. And I'm going to scan again, and it still came up. So apologies. I did 1, 2 initially earlier instead of doing 0, 1, 2. It can't see that because it's not a social security number. So this works, right? So this is really great because, you know, the thing is when you put something in place, any type of architecture, and you have an architect, right? If you're working, engineer, whatever level you are within your IT profession, you are going to be testing it out, right? That is a, no holds bar. You're going to definitely test out things. That is just the way it goes because you need to make sure it's working. All right, so that is our data classification area. I definitely wanted to zoning on that one because that was really a section in the outbound management that I really was like, well, this is really cool stuff that you guys have here. So trends and insights. This is just letting you know another view where you can see the outbound security trends and get insights and action recommendations. So outbound trends, if you come over here, you'll see that there's emails that were sent out as well. Outbound rule usage, nothing really shows up here. Total recipients, right? And then you have your top senders, obviously is Alice. And then you can see here, this nice connections graph says that, hey, information was sent out to a Gmail address. So that's pretty cool. Quarantine emails, you have the option to be able to view what's going on in quarantine. And then, you know, if you want to release it to the individual, you can. Reports, this is where you would generate a report, schedule a report, right? So you can generate a report. You need to generate and, you know, fill out all that information. You have your different time periods right here, and you have your report types as well. And then you can schedule a report. So let's say senior leadership or, you know, the CIO needs to see what's going on and wants a high level view. They're not going into this console, right? They're managing the day-to-day stuff and managing their staff, but you need to get him a report or her a report. You are going to do it here for your schedule reports. Here you could change the look and feel. So this is an email template. Apply your custom template to all outgoing Trustifi emails. This is where you can put your company logo here, and you could do the theme of your company, your brand. And then lastly, here you have your audit log. This is where you can do like an email trace over here, monitor email activity and messages passed through Trustifi. You can track whether a message was received, rejected, or delivered, and view any actions taken on it. Logs are available for the last 30 days. And then you have your audit logs as well. So that is pretty much a run through of the outbound. What I really want to jump into next is how inbound management works. Okay, so I know I said we was going to jump into the inbound shield, but I totally forgot that we did create a rule for our outbound shield to make sure that we are keeping our data safe, right? So the outbound shield is basically going to work as a DLP, data loss prevention, to make sure that our staff is working in the right fashion. So right here, as you can see on the screen, I am in my sent emails for Alice Test, and I sent this email here to Cloud Scholars. So if I come over to my email over here and I click on it, here is my test, my rule email. That's the subject. And you can see here, Alice Test sent you a secure message via Trustifi. Authenticate to decrypt and open the message. So it is working. There was some information in that email. As you can look over here and you can see that there's a social security number in the email and it automatically decrypted. I didn't put anything like encrypt or anything like that. The outbound messages are working and it is going to encrypt my email if it finds any sensitive information. In this case, we are talking about a social security number. So I wanted to definitely show you that before we move on into inbound, which we are going to do now. All right, so we're going to jump into the inbound management, right? And show you exactly how this works with the inbound shield. So I'm not going to focus too much on the plan settings area. This is really where you have your setup within your Trustifi, right? So you can say how you want your email flow architecture. You have 4 options here, which is the journal, via API, MX record, and via email relay. The plan settings is similar to how the plan settings setup is for outbound. You have your domains that you can manage. You have your regions where you want your S3 bucket to store your data. And then you also have, it shows you the integrations for Exchange and Server PowerShell. And I'm going through that really quickly because that is not what you want to show in product review, is not really the setup of it. You really want to show the functionality of it. But you want to kind of go through a little bit of the setup. So that's why I'm going through it that way. Here you have your mailbox management. You have your protect and manage mailboxes under your mail server. So you have your different mailboxes that you want to protect. Over here, as you can see, I have my Alice Test here. Over here, I have a bunch of different options where I can configure metrics, threat distribution, or delete the mailbox if I wanted to. Inbound shield. This is really where I wanted to get to, so that's why I was going so quickly. So over here, we have under configuration, the first thing we have is our threat detection mode. So we have 2 modes with Trustifi. We have the standard or we have the aggressive mode. Now, I like to do, when I'm setting up stuff in IT, I like to be extremely aggressive and then I scale back versus being less aggressive. And then now something happens and then I'm rushing to say, oh, we need to rectify this. So you have 2 options you could choose from. I would definitely say go with the aggressive to make sure that you are, really securing your environment. And if it's a little bit too aggressive, you can now pull back if you need to. The reviewers, I will go through a little bit later since they move reviewers to the reviewers tab up here, and I will go through that in a little bit. On-click link scan. So this is an option where it says, it's going to scan your links in real time. So scans each clicked link in real time to detect phishing and malicious content. I will definitely enable this. I don't know what this option is there for, to be honest with you. I don't know how many IT professionals will allow users to continue their URLs blocked by on-click link scans, but you never know. They just are giving you that option there. It's totally up to you. And then you have quarantine notification settings. So you can have a title for your notification, and then you can also have a body of the URL. They have some pretext in there to help you to get an understanding or idea of what kind of information you want to provide to your users. Defang malicious URLs and threat analysts. URLs that have been detected as malicious will be defanged and become unclickable in the threat analysis view for increased security. So I like to look, when I hear defang, I'm thinking about vampires for some reason. But it is a way to safeguard against malicious URLs. You have the URL hunting. So I like the URL hunting because it identifies users who clicked on scan links and provides additional details. So for these users that clicked on the scan links, if you are a small IT shop or a small business and you don't have all the security tools in place like a major organization would have, this URL hunting helps you out, because now if somebody clicked on a link, you can now see what endpoint they came from, and hopefully you have some type of agent running on your endpoints. And then now you can look at that device. Now you can now decommission that device from your environment, or, block it from your environment, take the PC in, laptop in, I should say, and then have IT now make sure that device goes back into compliance before it goes on the network. This is your secure email gateway. If you have one, you can go ahead and you can get that set up here. You have your phishing simulation bypass, which I like this option, because you may be using a third-party phishing simulation tool, right? Like something like a KnowBe4. And with KnowBe4, you would want to raise the awareness of your cybersecurity, right? Your folks in your organization. And the only way you'd be able to do that is if you allow Trustifi to bypass it. And this is where you would put that information in. So that's pretty cool. And then you also have the report from third-party clients down here if you need to add any other information down there. So here, when it comes to threat prevention rules, this is where you would do a lot of defaults. So email action, default actions for emails detected by Inbound Shield as malicious, suspicious, spam, gray mail, and external. So you have rule presets. So this is the main one, but you can add some more rule presets. You could put some things in monitor mode, and then you can reset the threat prevention rules to default settings in the selected preset. So right here we have option, whereas when an email is detected as malicious, you can, and you hover over it, it gives you a nice little menu that comes up, not menu, but more of a detailed information, I should say, and it tells you exactly what is defined as malicious. Over here, when it comes to actions, you have an option of release or quarantine. And then we have a secondary action, which you can do, where you can add a warning label, add subject text, notify a reviewer or notify a recipient. And then you have this retention period for how long it's going to be in quarantine. And it says determine how long quarantine emails of the type malicious should be kept in Trustifi. And the max is 365 days. You can choose to preserve specific emails by selecting the preserve record for an email in the quarantine emails page. If I come here to 365 days, just make sure you're understanding what you're doing for each one. You don't have to set it to 365 for all. It says determine how long quarantine emails of the type suspicious, right? The last one was malicious. This is suspicious. And they all do the same thing, right? So they have the action, which is quarantine and release. And then you'll have this option here, except for you get to the last one, which we will get to in a little bit. So you have the option for when an email is detected as spam, when an email is detected as gray mail. This is more like your marketing emails, newsletters, so on and so forth. You can change the way that works as well. And then we have this last option, right? This is when an email is detected as an external or unfamiliar. So a lot of times when I'm working with clients, one of the mail flow rules I like to establish is if an email is coming from an external client, you have a banner there that says it's an external client. That helps to raise the awareness of your users in your environment. What threat actors are doing is threat actors will find out who you are on LinkedIn, find out who the top person is, like a CFO, and then find out who's in purchasing or in finance, and they would now impersonate that CFO and send the email and try to get some type of information. But if you have that external banner, even though people aren't looking at the whole email domain, they might just see the name of the person and just run and try to get the work done. With this external banner, that hopefully they'll notice the external banner says, well, why is it coming from Kieran? And it says external when Kieran works for the company. So that is one of the reasons why you will want to do the email is detected as an external. You can quarantine it if you want to, or you can release it. I wouldn't quarantine it right away because you're going to be working with contractors and people in other areas. So, you're going to get external email. So you might want to release it, but you also want to make sure you do something like add a warning label or add a subject text and make sure you keep the record of it, right? And you can modify the label if you want. Right here, the warning text, it tells you, is going to say Inbound Shield has detected this email came from an external source. You are advised to be cautious when clicking on links or opening attachments. And let's review it. This is how it would show up. You see that warning color is orange, and this is how it would show up. So I think a bright color, I like to use yellow. Orange is good as well. Some bright colors so that people can now, eyes can just draw to it and say, oh, okay, something's not right here. And then down here, you have allow recipients to report emails as safe, malicious directly from warning label. If you go down a little bit more, this is where about the time-based and notifications, how much and how do you want them to occur. So select notification timing, notify immediately, notify every hour, notify every 3 hours. You might have to play around with this because I know when it comes to notifications, sometimes you're like, okay, this is notifying me too much. So I would suggest you play around with this. I don't really have a set or a binary answer for you. It's totally up to you how you want to set that up. Then you have the recipient can be notified immediately, every 3 hours. Plus you can add a message down here. You also have the option of recipient release request notifications. And let me not skip, allow users to set their own custom notification times. I don't know if you really want to do that, but that's entirely up to you. Trustifi is allowing us to give users that privilege if you want to go ahead and do that as well. So over here, we have skip warning label for email domains. So that warning label, you can say, all right, we know certain domains are safe. We can skip it if you want to do that. I haven't really seen a lot of security tools giving you that option. Once you put that mail flow rule, where if it comes from anybody external, it's going to always come up. So I think that that's a cool option that you can have there. But yeah, you can skip the warning label for email domains, and you can say create a list of email and domains that the warning label will not appear for incoming emails. So that's pretty cool that they have that set up that way. Notify reviews about user reports, right? So this is disabled right now, but you can enable that. You also have applied scan by inbound shield footer, so you can have a footer there. You can see this customized text you could put in here, but right now the preset text is this email has been scanned by inbound shield. And then you also have set contact impersonation emails as suspicious. Emails detected as contact impersonation will be flagged as suspicious instead of malicious. So it's just changing, how they are viewed. So let's go over here to inbound rules. So this is where you can create certain inbound rules of how you want emails to be received or certain actions applied to emails depending on that recipient, or it's not even recipient, or the sender, right? Depends, right? So let's look at the rules, right? So I can create a rule really quickly and I say block cloud scholars, right? We don't want to trust those guys. If address, right, and we could change this, if keywords, at least one domain, attachment type, we have a bunch of other options. I'm going to leave as address, detected in the from field, or exact match to, and I will add cloud scholars learning at gmail.com, add. Got to make sure it drops down here first, and I'm going to confirm. And I can say then, or I can add more conditions, but let's keep it as simple as possible. I'm going to quarantine, and I'm also going to notify the reviewer, right? The reviewer is here. We're going to go into that tab, and I'm going to notify the recipient, and I also have a recipient message as well, and allow release from notification, but I will leave it as that, and I will say add rule. Now, when you create rules, when you first create them, you can see it is active. Over here, if we hit actions, we can edit it, we can clone it, we can delete it. Also, if I click over here, usage data, I can see the usage data. Right now, it hasn't just been set up, so you can't see what's going on. But when you populate this in your environment, you can see all that stuff. So you have a bunch of rules. You can click over here and you can see the data, what's going on with that rule, if it's being applied, how it's working in your environment. Here are your reviewers. Right now, we just have Alice, the user I'm logged into. Reviewers will receive notifications about quarantine email threats sent to your protected mailbox and will be able to take immediate actions. Then we have scan threats. Upload a file or enter a link below to safely scan it and check for any existing threats. So you can scan a link. You could put a link in here if you're not really sure about it and scan it, or you could scan a file. So what I want to do is look back at the reviewers, because we created this rule, and if we're going to create a rule, we need to test it out and make sure it works. So let me send an email to Alice Test and let me see how that works. All right, so now I am in my email and I see Trustifi, inbound show sent you a secure message via Trustifi. An email from Cloud Scholars Learning that was sent to Alice was quarantined according to admin's rule, block Cloud Scholars. Now let's keep in mind that Alice is one of the reviewers, so this is what you're going to see, right? So that's why it says the inbound, an email from Cloud Scholars that was sent to Alice. That's why it's saying it like that. Email subject, hey, I'm a safe sender, excuse me. It lets you know email content analysis, headers, safe. The message was sent from a known contact. Link safe, attachment safe. Now this says message was sent from a known contact because I have sent emails before, and that's the reason why it's saying that. So Trustifi has that AI to know, hey, you know, if you've gotten that information before, it's a really great tool. It will give you a lot of information and lets you know, so it helps you make the right decision moving forward. So what I'm going to do is I can review email and take actions. So it's going to open up another tab. And right here, I can see the information. So right here, the email is, hey, I'm a safe sender. Sender is external. This email is quarantine. Mailbox, Alice at test Trustifi. Analysis, the message was sent from a known contact. No malicious links detected. No malicious attachments detected. So this gives you a nice summary. I have a bunch of different options here. I can say release. I can set not handled. And then you have sender actions, allow list. Emails from this sender will be released and arrive to the recipient's inbox. We can block, right? So there's a bunch of different things that you can do here. Down here, you can see just, you know, some message analysis. It gives you a little bit more information. Over here, email content, it says I can show the content if I really wanted to, so I can click on it, and also it can be safe, and I could go ahead and show the content if I really needed to as well. Now I'm going to jump back over here to Trustifi. I didn't go to a block list yet, but I want to jump to quarantine emails because we have a quarantine email. I want to show you exactly from an admin portal what you'll be able to see. So I can say get emails, right? And you can see the email here, right? So we have this option where you hit down here. You can choose the last 3 days, last 3 months, source Trustifi, because Trustifi is going to have it in quarantine. You could say subcategory if you want to have some other stuff you want to check off. You have category. I don't know. I click that off, right? But, you know, make sure that you have this checked off as external. Because of the emails are going to get quarantined are going to be mostly external. So if you have this, if this not checked off and I say get emails, you'll see it won't show up anymore. So just make sure that you have that option there that is checked off, because you'll be spending some time before you realize that's the reason why you're not seeing it. So status, you can have for quarantine, release, all that other stuff. So here we have our quarantine message, but from here, I can release it, right? So I can say email will be released to the recipient mailbox. And what's this one? Email from this sender will be released and arrive to the recipient's mailbox, right? But this will, you know, be a part of the allow list. And I'll just click release, report to Trustifi, and I will confirm. So now I will, here, you heard that message. That means that we got our email, right? So let me get out of this really quickly. Let me come back to my email, and there you go. It says secure in Cloud Scholars. Did you open me up? Here at Cloud Scholars, we help out IT professionals. So that works. We were able to get it. So now if I go here again, emails, still showing up right now, but you see it was checked off, and this one is good, and it says status released, right? So it shows you that it is released. Just to jump back, I want to go to allow block list, because there's some stuff here that we can really take value into of these different features. So block file type settings will not apply to allow listed senders unless block malicious links and files is selected under the allow list. So we can block certain file types, right? So we can block macros, we can block scripts. So if I click on this, you're about to enable automatic blocking of macros. I can say confirm for external senders only or for non-contacts only. So I'm going to take this off because I don't want to block that. I could block scripts. I have the option to block executables, encrypted attachments, block encrypted archives, so on and so forth, and block uncommon file extensions as well. And then here, if you check this off and I confirm, I have the option here is now highlighted, and I could click it. But if I take it off, it's vagued out. I can't click on it. Senders list. This is So what you do is configure inbound shield by setting up customized lists and creating custom protections. So here, add senders list. Emails from senders in this list will always be considered safe. So this is where if you were getting emails from a particular, or just say you're working with a new contractor, and for some reason their emails keep going to spam or keep going to quarantine, this is where you would say, okay, I'm going to add them as a safe sender. So this is where you would go ahead and do that. I have dealt with this before where you need to add them globally so that this way everybody can see. Down here, you will have global, or you could come down here to specific information. Here you have generate user list reports, and you have settings. So if you click on settings, you can allow recipients personal, allow block list if you want to as well for your advanced settings. Down here, you have senders block list. So you can add block list senders down here if you need to. Here you have link lists, and it literally is the same thing, but it's with links, allowed listed links. So links from the list will always be considered safe. And then you have block list down here. And then attachment list, you have files from this list will always be considered safe. And then you have blocked as well on the below. So we went through quarantine emails. I'm going to jump into URL hunting. So the URL hunting tools allow security teams to track and identify users who clicked on scan links and provide additional details like the specific location, browser device that was used. So here you will see last URLs clicked, and you can get some information. No clicked events by mailbox found on this domain. So if you hit down here, you can, go through this, but obviously we don't have anything here within our demo environment. Over here, we have trends and insights. This is where you have your basically a summary. You can start off, you have the last day you can look, the last 3 days. You have different time intervals here. You can have a custom one. You could generate a report, or you can export to PDF if you like. So you have general overview with gray mail, malicious, suspicious, and spam. You have your inbound trends, your threat types. Nothing's really populating here, but will populate for your environment. You have quarantine email overview. Will let you know exactly how many quarantine emails were in there over the last couple of days. Top malicious sender domains. So this is really good because this lets you know exactly what's going on and how threat actors are trying to come after your environment. Then we get into a bit of threat response. You could create a new threat response if you need to do that as well here. Over here, this is in beta, so we really won't go into that. And then we finally end off from the inbound management into audit logs, where you can now look here for email tracing and audit logs, and you could do things of that nature. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get into account takeover, right? Over here is where you can now look and see exactly if anybody's trying to do anything malicious with any of your accounts in your environment. So here you have your protected accounts. Right here you have things that are enabled, so you can see all your protected accounts. A lot of times what I would do with protected accounts, so you have certain email providers, right, and tools that can be very expensive. And a lot of times when they have things like protected accounts, that might be another license, or it might just be, stuff that you're like, okay, I can't really afford it for everybody in my environment. So over here, protected accounts, I like to look at protected accounts as higher level users in your environment, employees. So this would be anybody like a director, C-suite, or even manager. You probably won't throw everybody in this account takeover protection option. You probably want to throw in people who are dealing with confidential information. And then this way you can now make sure that those emails are safeguarded. So we're in here, we go into our configurations. So choose the instance of potentially suspicious activity to be identified specific users along with corresponding responses. So remember, I was talking about the type of users. So suspicious device change, you can apply this for all users, or you can apply it for specific users if you want. And then over here, you can say, what are we doing? We're notifying a reviewer, we're notifying a user, we're notifying a block user, we're notifying a block for 24 hours, or risky for 24 hours. So I do want to jump into this whole reviewer thing that we have here. Reviewers will have access to information regarding account takeover. This is a different reviewer than over here. where you have reviewers, reviewers will receive notifications about quarantine email threats sent to your protected mailboxes. So I want to make sure that you're not thinking when you hear reviewer that it's reviewer for everything. You have the reviews for your quarantine and you have your reviews for your account takeover. So I do want to make sure that I point that out. Not to jump around, but I just wanted to make sure I pointed it out, and most importantly, I didn't forget. So over here, you have suspicious location change. So when a user's email is open in an unrecognized location, you can make some modifications. So it's the same thing. All these options are the same all the way down, but you have some really good threats that you're really going to be looking into, right? So unusual amount of email sent, that is a big red flag. Sensitive data sent to new domains, sensitive data sent to free email domains. So the way I look at this is good that they have this for account takeover, but what really works with this is the way you set out your outbound management rules to make sure that you are catching certain things from happening as well. So use this, but use it in a combination with your sent emails, right? Those rules. Mailbox email breach. You also have increased recipients compliant rate as well. And then you have increased recipient hard bounce rate, right? And then as I mentioned before, this is your reviewers that would be able to see what's going on with your account takeovers. So this is a hero feature, right? This incident and activity. So you can see a timeline of what's going on. So you can see here, Alice Test opened an email from a new suspicious device. You can see it gives you the location. It says sensitive data was sent from Alice Test to new domain, a Gmail. It says sensitivity score 5 because we sent the social securities. And then you have sensitive data was sent from Alice Test to free email domain, and also gives you some information there. It's the same thing, but it's just the way it worded it. And then we have Bob Test open an email from new suspicious device, and it gives you some information, lets you know the browser and the PC as well, right? Over here, if I do show list, you get the same thing, but it's a little bit different. I like the timeline look more for me, but to each his own. Nothing against you if you go in the opposite direction as me, right? Over here, we have trends and insights. This is another graph, or I should say GUI for you, where you can see different widgets. You have user activity locations at the top. You have your different time intervals. You can filter users and you can export to PDF. You have user devices. So over here, I can see Safari Mac OS. And then over here, I see Chrome Mac OS as well. Most common incident types, you can see here, sensitive data sent to free email domain. Down here, you have sensitive data sent to new domains. And then down here, you have suspicious device change as well. If I come over here to audit log, you can take a look at what's going on in your environment, and you can pull your reports as well, and also ship it off to whoever you need to ship it off to as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this demo of Trustifi. So I put up on the PowerPoint again because I wanted to talk about the different types of attacks that Trustifi helps you safeguard against. So we have our phishing emails, we have our ransomware, we have our malicious links, and we have our business email compromise. As you can see, with the rules of Trustifi, you can now modify how emails are going out, and then you also can modify how you receive emails as well. Trustifi provides you that encryption, so you can make sure that the data that is sent to whoever you need to send it to is encrypted, to make sure that you are not releasing any type of information, whether you are working in finance, healthcare, or any other work domain, right, or industry, I should say. You are going to make sure that your environment is safe and that you are sending emails and receiving emails in the most safe as possible way, and Trustifi definitely does that. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Here at Cloud Scholars, if you haven't done so already, please smash that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you have used Trustifi or you're thinking about using Trustifi. Please let me know. I love to have a discussion with you. You know, some people want to use a third-party product rather than just using Microsoft. I really like one of the features in Trustifi for me was the way that you can populate different rules based on the compliance policy that you need to follow, right? So what I was talking about earlier, I had the HIPAA compliance. It just populated a whole bunch of different information for us, the rules for us within that outbound shield, which definitely helps with DLP, right? It helps with, making sure that you're keeping your customers / patients data secure. So I want to thank you again for watching this video. My name is Kieran Tross. Here at Cloud Scholars, my goal is to get you from scholar to consultant, and of course, consultant to expert. Thank you, and see you next time.